Hey guys, welcome back to the Wholehearted Journey. My name is Meredith Hudson, and this episode is going to be incredible. I can feel it. When I was waking up this morning thinking to myself, oh, another Monday, another podcast episode, filming day, I was thinking to myself, what do I want to talk about? There's so much I want to talk about. Y'all should see my list of episodes. It was kind of funny because my original goal was to actually post twice a week. It just ended up being way too much work, not because of the actual filming process of this and sitting down and doing it. It's the editing, like the uploading. It takes like 4 hours to get it to my computer and download it. It's annoying. If you actually know the secret sauce to upload videos a lot quicker and you would like for me to eventually get to a place where I could do 2 episodes a week, let your girl know. Hit me up in the DMs, okay? But overall, I came to this one thought over and over and over again, and it was alcohol. I need to talk about alcohol. We have to talk about alcohol and weight loss, but honestly, not just weight loss. If you have a goal of any sort physically, like you are trying to achieve some kind of health goal, and it could be a transformation, building size, losing weight. If you are someone that is maybe dealing with like a health condition, hormonal imbalance, like anything tied to health, anything tied to a change in your health or in your physique, like I said, alcohol is going to disrupt that. Now, before we get started, this is not going to be a podcast episode that is like basically pointing a finger at you saying you have to completely cut out alcohol in order to achieve anything, because that's not true. I did not cut out alcohol on my weight loss journey, and I was able to lose 120 pounds. There is a will and there's a way, and we're going to talk a lot about that here in this episode. And so before we dive in, I actually have a list. I usually come on here and I just like spit it to y'all straight, but we're going to kind of bounce around. I really want this to be something that's super educational, so we're going to kind of go over a few things here. But the very first thing is I'm going to talk about why I give up drinking, and it's how long it's officially been, because for those that don't know, I am a sober gober. I am a sober gober. That is crazy. And it's been 8 months. Now, I gave up alcohol strictly because I was over it. I had the worst hangovers. I'm telling you, it did not go well. Like it made me feel awful. And if it wasn't physical, like if I didn't physically feel ill the next day, maybe going into 3 days of feeling like physically ill, it was mental. And I struggled so much with anxiety and depression. Like anxiety is so real, and it's the weirdest anxiety ever. And it's barely talked about. Like I feel like I've seen a few videos here and there, but no one talks about the actual intensity of anxiety. I talk about it, of course, with my clients all the time, because every time I see patterns of someone drank alcohol, but on their weekly check-in, they're literally talking about how they're in the worst mental state and they feel so depressed and they're like eating themselves alive with all of this like negativity in their head. I'm like, hey, did you notice it the day after you drank alcohol? You want to know how many times someone says, yeah. Well, that's when I get to step in as a coach, because I'm like a life coach. If y'all haven't like kind of gathered that yet, I'm a life coach. I kind of talk about everything. Call me like a therapist, because I kind of technically am, not legally. I'm not like an actual therapist. Okay. But it's like therapy, because that's kind of the way I coach, is getting into the real and raw stuff, because we're talking about changing your mind, body, everything. So there's a lot of therapeutic stuff that kind of comes into play here, and that's just where my passion lies. But that's where I kind of get to bring up this like normalcy of, hey, I don't know if anyone's ever talked to you about like feeling really anxious or feeling really bad about yourself, or having like these moments of like replay in your head about things that you said or you've done, even if it wasn't anything bad, or you're just kind of in a sense like ashamed of yourself, again, not really understanding why. That's what I call the famous anxiety. So anyways, we're going to be talking about that, but we're also going to be discussing 6 ways alcohol can slow or stop fat loss altogether. That's going to be a massive one for you girlies who are on a weight loss journey currently. How much I drank during my personal weight loss journey, what that looked like, what system I put into play, and what kind of worked for me. We're also going to talk about the comparison of my results when I had months where I wasn't drinking at all and then months when I was drinking, the difference of the two that I did see personally. And lastly, what it's felt like since I have personally given up alcohol and my overall thoughts and takes on that. Like I said, I'm going to have a very much more dedicated podcast episode to what giving up alcohol completely has looked like for me. But I wanted to kind of keep this more on the tune that's really helpful for those girlies who are really trying to actively pursue seeing changes, seeing results without going to the extreme measures of cutting out alcohol altogether. Because that was not a place that I was at when I was going through my own journey. So I really don't expect a lot of you guys to be in that same extreme mindset that I'm in now. So let's get started. We got a long journey ahead of us. And by the way, I want y'all to know how much I love y'all. It is almost 6 o'clock at night and I am drinking it technically energy drink. It is an energy drink. I don't know why I'm technically an energy drink. I am drinking an energy drink because I am so tired. I'm tired and I want this to be very effective for you guys. So do know I will be thinking of y'all at 2 o'clock this morning while I can't sleep, regretting this very moment of me drinking this energy drink. Gosh, that gave me a hiccup. Now, why did I give up drinking for the rest of my life? What is the reason? Well, there is not one reason. There's probably a million reasons. But if I were to conjoin all of them together, combine it all, it would come down to one simple thing. It was getting in my way of becoming the person that I wanted to be in a lot of different ways. But my future that I can visualize and that I can feel called to is just, alcohol is just not a part of it. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it was getting in my way. There was zero good things that came from drinking. When I wrote it down, there was a list that I wrote down of cons and pros. And this was actually funny. I wrote this list after I made the decision to quit drinking, which usually you would do before, but I did after. And there was one pro on the other side, and it was fun. It's fun. I like drinking because it's fun, and I enjoy the drinks, and they're cute, and fun was the only thing. But everything else on the other side was lengthy, gives me anxiety, makes me feel like crap, interferes with my hormones, makes inflammation in my body horrible, PCOS symptoms like raging, makes maintenance kind of more difficult if you're drinking heavier. I usually gain weight every time I would take a trip and go on vacation because I would drink so much alcohol. Fun fact, I looked up what a pina colada has, which is kind of one of my little go-tos when I would go on just beach trips. Just one. I knew there were a ton of sugar in them. Did I expect 80 grams of sugar in one pina colada? No, I did not expect that. So yeah, no wonder why I was coming home from trips and, kind of swollen and struggling with gaining a couple of pounds while being on, a week-long vacation. I mean, I knew it was because of it, but I just did not want to take responsibility for it. So yeah, there was multiple reasons why I gave up drinking. It has been such a great decision, and it's now officially been 8 months. So I'm very proud of that. But like I said, I will make a whole podcast episode dedicated to that. Now let's get to the fun part, the part that you're gonna love, but the part you're also really going to probably hate if you are someone that loves drinking, especially on a weekly basis. Hang in there with me because after hearing this, you might change your mind on it, but that's okay. That's why you're here. This is for the hard truth, and this is for us to finally make waves in our journeys and see results. We're tired of wasting time. Are you tired of wasting time? Come on now. I know for me, I was tired of wasting time, and this was kind of when I started calculating things up and realizing girl, you got to stop drinking. You got to stop drinking every week. And once you do that, even though you're only having a little bit here and there, it's not very much. Once you do that, you're going to see results. And guess what? That was the case for me. But I'll explain the exact structure that I technically implemented after we kind of go through these 6 things. The very first thing is that your body treats alcohol like a toxin. So I want you to think of every time that you drink alcohol and it enters into your body almost has this alarm that goes off and informs everyone that, hey, we have this poisonous toxin in our body. Everyone stop what you're doing, literally chill, and let's get her out of here. And so your body essentially, again, stops everything, and is the only job it's really focusing on is getting out that alcohol. So in more actual real terms, alcohol isn't stored like carbs, fats, or protein. Your body can't save it for later. So the second you drink, your liver drops everything to metabolize it first. That means fat burning gets put on pause, carb burning slows down, muscle recovery slows, hormone balance shifts. Your body basically says, we need to clear this out before we do anything else. And that can take days, y'all. That can take days. It's not one of those things that's like, oh, you're going to pee it out in, 2 seconds or 2 hours. Like sometimes alcohol takes days to get out of your system. And so that's 2 days of your body not working really in your favor or doing any other job other than focusing on getting this alcohol out of your system. That's probably also why if you were to have an Oura ring or whatnot, you can track your sleep and so forth. And you might notice patterns in your sleep being disrupted, not just the night that you drink, but the days afterwards too. I mean, it really just depends, especially if you are someone with a slower metabolism. This can really come into play. Like if you are someone with a slower metabolism, or you already struggle with inflammation, or you have high inflammation markers, this is going to I would assume this would be a longer process for you. I'm not a doctor. This is kind of just like based off my, basic knowledge about the body. I would assume it would make things more difficult. Now, fat burning literally stops temporary altogether. So if you are on a weight loss journey, I want you to keep this in mind. When you drink alcohol, you basically are telling your body, hey, we're not going to lose any body fat for the next couple of days, okay? Like, we're going to go ahead and put this on pause. We're going to chill out just a little bit. So this rule applies even if you're in a calorie deficit. Your body isn't prioritizing fat loss because remember, your entire body stops what it's doing. It's not doing its normal roles of like utilizing everything that its main mission. And that's the only thing that you really need to gather from this is to get it out of your body. That's it. So basically, your body is prioritizing detoxing and not burning and prioritizing fat loss. The third thing is it messes with your hormones. I think we all know this, but it is such a good reminder because not to bring this up, but when you are a bestie that is struggling with like PCOS or any other like hormonal imbalance, I mean, life is already hard for us besties. Like, let's just be honest. Like, weight loss is more difficult for us already. And it's not that it's more, it is more difficult. It just requires more nurturing. Like, you have to go more above and beyond than the average Joe. So weight loss is the same. It's just different rules to the games, and we have more rules. That's the best way to put it. And as a PCOS bestie, trust me, I get it. I hate it, but it is a blessing in the end. Once you really get it down and you start implementing things and these healthy habits, it holds you accountable and you are quote unquote like forced to actually continue to prioritize your health. It's not as easy for us to just say, screw it, like screw these healthy habits and so forth. Like, because it's not just you're maintaining your weight, you're maintaining your healthy hormone balance, right? And so you have more to lose. And so it makes prioritizing maintenance once you get to your goal and once you get there and you establish everything, like just more of a priority for you. And that's just what I personally learned. So from my own experience, it is a blessing in the end. But when it comes to alcohol, man, it's just never going to be in your favor, ever, like literally ever. And again, that played one of the biggest roles for me personally. Alcohol impacts cortisol, so your stress hormone goes up. Testosterone and growth hormone goes down. Insulin sensitivity also goes down. So higher cortisol plus lower recovery hormones equals harder time preserving muscle and losing body fat. And since muscle also helps drive your metabolism, this matters. So again, in simple terms, it affects your entire system. It's going to affect your hormones. It's going to affect your cortisol. It also impacts your hunger hormones, which I think we are about to cover here soon too. It's also, if you're insulin resistant, this is also going to make insulin resistance 20 times worse. If you are a PCOS bestie who is insulin resistant, which most people who are PCOS tend to sometimes be insulin resistant, unless it just depends, but unless you've been actually prioritizing this and so forth, then maybe you're not. But insulin resistance is already pretty more prominent in people who have PCOS. So alcohol is a double banger for you, my friend. Sadly, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but it is, and I know. Trust me, I get it. Do you really think that I wanted to go the rest of my life without drinking alcohol? I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's like it is one of those things that was not technically a choice. Like I would have liked just an espresso martini every now and then, but my body's even sensitive to caffeine. Okay, don't talk to me. Anyways, the fourth thing, it affects blood sugar and cravings. So alcohol can spike, then crash blood sugar, which I think a lot of us know. It's just going to, again, simple terms, y'all, just to kind of keep this like very, very simple. So that way we're not kind of running through the most craziest things, is that it throws everything off. And when I say everything, remember the 3 pillars that I talked about with you guys, not just in my webinar. I don't know if some of y'all have watched my webinar, but not just my webinar, but actually in a few of these episodes already. Your 3 pillars is cortisol, is going to be your blood sugar, and it's also inflammation in the body. Like, those are your 3 pillars. If you have high cortisol, if your blood sugar is out of whack, and you have a lot of inflammation, like your inflammatory markers are up, that's when you know your body is under attack and there's something going on in your body. So you have to prioritize avoiding these disruptors, and alcohol is one of the biggest disruptors. So that's essentially what this entire breakdown is saying, is that alcohol is a disruptor. It's a disruptor. So yeah, it affects your blood sugar, and your cravings is also going to impact your hunger hormones, which we've also kind of discussed. I think, that might have been in my webinar. But when you drink alcohol, it raises ghrelin, and ghrelin is a hormone that makes you feel hungry. And then it lowers leptin, the hormone that tells you when you're full. So your hunger signal goes up and your fullness signal goes down. That's why after drinking, you can feel way hungrier and less satisfied, even if your body doesn't actually need more food. So aka, if you find yourself at Whataburger getting a honey butter chicken biscuit at 3 a.m. in the morning, it might not just be because you're like a little loosey-goosey, alcohol's in your system, and you're just like, screw it, I want Whataburger, blah, 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 which it could be that. I am dreaming of the spicy ketchup with the fries, man, at that Whataburger, man, with the honey butter chicken biscuit. Like, honestly, I have no regrets about that, TBH. I would still do that today. Catch me outside. How about that? But yeah, when it comes to on serious note, if you are a binge eating bestie and you are someone that is already really struggling with like sweet cravings, and you are someone that's really struggling with your relationship with food, and you've been on this like weight loss journey or this health journey, alcohol is not going to help you in the process with shedding that piece of you and really overcoming that real and raw struggle. Again, binge eating is something I've struggled with. Poor relationship with food. All these things that we're talking about, I've struggled with. And guess who used to drink a lot? Me. And guess who struggled with binge eating severely for my first year? Me. And guess who drank a lot in my first year? Me. And it's actually one of the biggest reasons why I didn't see results, for my first 6 months. Like, I didn't lose any weight my first 6 months of my weight loss journey, and it was because I kept drinking on the weekends. And even if it was just one day, and even if it wasn't a lot, I struggled with it. And of course, I struggle with binge eating. It's kind of like this ripple effect, right? So yeah, it's going to interfere with your hunger hormones. And that is another reason why people struggle with getting back on track. It's not because, you allowed yourself to have one night off, and now it's like you're just like this completely different person and you're struggling. No, it's because your appetite has probably been drastically increased. And so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're still feeling those effects of how alcohol has disrupted your system. And now you're wanting anything and everything and your cravings are high. So yeah, if you are someone that is on a weight loss journey and you have been really struggling with your nutrition, this is one thing that if you were to just commit to yourself and say, all right, I'm probably going to create some boundaries with alcohol real quick. Just create some boundaries, and those boundaries need to be whatever speak to you. Obviously, best case scenario is probably allowing yourself to just go a month without drinking and just see the difference in how you feel. And then you can obviously go from there on what you decide moving forward from then. Or it could be, I am 100% not drinking every week, but maybe we can have a more system structure that I will actually let you tell y'all what I personally did, because I was not ready to potentially go like months and months and months without drinking alcohol when I first took my first step. So we'll kind of like talk about that. Now, the fifth thing is that your sleep quality drops. Even if you fall asleep faster, alcohol reduces REM sleep. I talk about REM sleep an annoying amount of time with my clients, and I really just don't get a whole lot of like, oh, that's amazing. That's fascinating, Mare. I'm like, is sleep boring to talk about? Because like sleep, especially your REM sleep, is it boring to talk about? Because like it plays such a massive role in your health. But I think we always want to be like, okay, yeah. But yo, your sleep, I'm telling you, and your REM sleep play a massive role in your health. And I did an actual course. It was like a holistic health, like kind of certification course. And in it, I didn't actually finish it. I really need to be honest about that real quick. I fell off. I'm still in the midst of doing it, but it's been like a year gap. But I did finish a sleep course. R.I.P. What is it even called? I don't remember the course. I gotta look into that. I gotta finish it. I'm not that far off. I don't think. Watch me go back in and be like, oh, I still got a long way to go, baby. Anyways. Okay, let's get back to the point. I just want to be completely transparent here. But the sleep course, I did finish, like I said, and it was fascinating. Like learning how even cancers and sleep go hand in hand. Now, obviously, I'm sure that you can read that about a lot of things. Your nutrition and cancer, like the things there, or how much water you sleep and cancer, or movement and cancer. Like I'm sure that you can have a comparison in everything that we do that it can tie to cancers. But it was fascinating, and don't quote me on this, but again, I didn't get my certification, so I'm allowed to say, don't quote me on this. But it said, I think on there that if you were above the age of 18 and you got less than 8 hours of sleep on average most nights, your chances of cancer raises by 70%. It was something crazy. And I said, excuse me, what? Can you rewind back? What'd you say? Hello? I didn't read that. That's when knowledge is power kind of kicks you in the booty a little bit. Where it's like, did I really just read that, man? Golly. And so every time I get less than 8 hours of sleep, which is like every night, I always think to myself about that percentage. And then I'm like, eee. But at the end of the day, I also am a firm believer that I am not the one in control. So, Lord to God. But anyways, the sixth thing, it adds calories without fullness. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram, almost as dense as fat, but it doesn't fill you up. So it's easy to overshoot calories without realizing it. That is so obviously basic. The ChatGPT summarized that for me and not the way I wanted it to. Yeah. I love ChatGPT because I'll write up a list of things with so many typos, misspelling things all over the place. And I put it in ChatGPT and I'm like, put this in a bullet point presentation for me to do X, Y, and Z. And it does. And then it comes up with that. I don't even know what I wrote down on that 6th one, but it technically wasn't that. It adds calories without fullness. Excuse me? Duh. How are we going to get full of alcohol unless you're drinking beer? I have seen a man, a hefty man, a man, drink beer and say he's full. I have seen that. So I don't know how accurate that is. But yeah, like the given. Liquid calories in general are going to be the ones that just creep up and bite you in the booty real fast. Sauces, Chick-fil-A sauce. Hey, I had to put that in there. I had to put it in there. If you eat Chick-fil-A salsa, I want you to look online at the nutritional label and tell me if you're shocked. And again, that kind of goes back to the pina colada situation. 80 grams of sugar in one pina colada. Bro, I don't know about y'all, but I slurp a pina colada in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So 80 grams of sugar. That's like, I think it was like almost 800 calories. Can you imagine 800 calories in 5 minutes, 80 grams of sugar? Bruh. No wonder why we end up getting like kind of sleepy afterwards and we're like, oh, I'm so tired. Laying by this beach has got me exhausted. Nah, girl. I think you literally got a glucose spike and your body is in overdrive. It's sugar overloaded right now. That's probably the real reason. But anyways, I hope my hair does not look silly. Does my hair look silly right now? Anyways, I don't really care. But it does look like a weird bun from this angle looking in the little camera preview. But let me know if it's cute or not. Maybe it's a cute little messy. That's a weird look. I would never do it myself. But you kind of work it, mama. Maybe leave me a comment telling me that. I would love you forever. But let's talk about the comparison of my results when I drank on my weight loss journey versus when I didn't. Now, like I said, there were some months that I actually did go without drinking at all. And this was when I was in a much more, I'm locking in mindset. And I did have some extreme months where I'm telling y'all, I was locked in. And that came from passion, to be honest. It wasn't extremist of being like, I had to see as many results as I possibly can. No, this was just like when I got obsessed with health and fitness and I was learning so much and I was seeing my body change in ways I've never seen before. And when I saw my first like cut in my tricep, that was the type of motivation I never thought that I would ever experience. And so when I would experience those moments, like I said, there's like multiple different times throughout my journey where I had a moment like that, where I was motivated by the changes in progress that I was seeing, that I would go to more of a super locked in type of month where I still had a few balance days throughout the month, but in like 90% of my month, I was in my calorie deficit and hitting my macros every single day. I did not miss on my protein. I did not miss on hitting my calories. I stayed committed. I hit every single workout. It wasn't just hitting workouts. I was lifting heavy. I was pushing hard. And I did not drink alcohol. So those like kind of went hand in hand, where it was like if I was super locked in, I was also not going to drink alcohol, because if you're locked in and you're drinking alcohol, it kind of defeats the purpose. But if you're in a season where you're not super, super locked in and you can still see results, yes, but that's where you need to have a little bit more balance. So the months that I did lock in and I did not drink alcohol, insane progress. I was losing probably about 2 to 4% of body fat that month, and I would usually gain muscle mass on top of that. I just know my best months were the months that, and I was losing almost double the amount of body fat that I would normally lose in a month when I did not drink alcohol. Now, when I would drink alcohol, I was still able to lose 2% of body fat per month. That was still a thing for me, but like I said, it could not be every single week. So what that looked like was every other weekend. So every other weekend I had a rule to where in general, I would kind of follow it in a system where I would hit my calories the entire week through the weekend, all the way going into that next weekend. And then when I hit that next weekend or that second weekend out of the month, that's when I allow myself to be completely off of my counting calories, counting macros, like letting myself literally just enjoy life, do me. I would drink with my friends. I would go to Whataburger and have the honey butter chicken biscuit. Like I would just live my life and give myself like a weekend to just do me. Then that Monday would come and same thing. I would lock back in, hit my calories and macros, be on my stuff all the way through that next weekend, and then going into the fourth weekend out of the month. And then again, same process. I would give myself that weekend off, kind of recoup and just enjoy myself. So technically, if you were to calculate it all up, I would have technically 4 days out of that month where I was not in my calorie deficit. And I was allowing myself to kind of just like do me. Now I know that sounds extremist, and that was a month where I was extremely, again, consistent, but consistent with still incorporating alcohol. And like I said, I was still able to lose 2% of body fat, maintain muscle mass. Sometimes, like I said, slightly increase muscle mass, but it wasn't like crazy like it was on the months I did not drink alcohol. So yeah, at the end of the day, most of my months on my weight loss journey where I was being consistent, that's what it looked like. I only had it here and there very randomly where I did not drink alcohol at all. And yes, on those months, I saw better results. So the whole point of what I'm saying here is you can cut it out or you can have more balance with it, and you will see results either way. Either way. And I think that 2% is insanely good. 4% is mind blowing. And this is also me not making promises saying, hey, if you do exactly this, you're going to have the exact same results. No, everyone's body's different. And there's a lot of different factors that come into play too, like your stress levels, how was your sleep? Like there's so many different factors, like workouts and everything else in between. The biggest thing that we just have to come to agreement on and become self-aware in is the fact that drinking every week will kill your results. It will keep you stuck. It will not help you in the long run. Like your results will be hindered if you drink every single week. That's just the case. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's kind of one of those like hard truths, but it's not a con. Like it's not a bad thing. Because alcohol, like I said, can interfere with a lot of different things outside of just your results. I think it's one of those things that when you kind of give your body a break, you start realizing how much it actually kind of does impact your mental health, emotional health, physical health, everything else in between. And when you go so long without it, like you actually start feeling incredible. And that's exactly what I felt on my weight loss journey when I gave it up, or when I had more balance with it, I just felt better. Now, the very last thing that I wanted to cover about alcohol before I let y'all go is, what does it feel like to not drink alcohol? I don't really feel like all that different. Like I still feel really good. I mean, everything has been amazing. Maintaining my weight loss has been incredible. I have noticed some weird things of like my body being able to build muscle mass way easier. So even though I was very light with my alcohol and I didn't drink it very often, I guess it did play a bigger role in my like actual building muscle for my body than I guess I realized. But yeah, I mean, it's been really nice. 20 out of 10. It's not hard. It's not hard. It hasn't been something that I miss. I had like very few moments, I think, in the first like 3 months where I was like, oh, I kind of wish I had a drink of alcohol. But they have mocktails and they have so many cutesy things. Like I never really liked getting drunk, you know? So it's kind of like at the end of the day, it's just liquid. And it was trading liquids, because a lot of times people want to drink alcohol because of the mental social component to it, to where they feel very awkward and they have this like social anxiety and like social settings like weddings or events or social gatherings or whatever. But I want you to think about this, and this was something that I mentally thought about too, was that how would that make sense if alcohol just like stripped that away from you? It's all mental. Because I had so many moments where I felt that exact same way, where I was being this like awkward, girly, awkward, weird, social anxiety girly. And then I would instantly go to the bar, get me a drink, have the drink in my hand, take one sip, and all of a sudden that anxiety's gone. What? That's mental. That is so mental. Now, I understand the components of like actually getting buzzed and kind of getting drunk, like how that would get you to a place to where maybe you're like letting down your walls and you are different, but you also have to recognize that that's not healthy. Like why is it that you can't be your complete authentic self without being sober? So that goes beyond a point of being like, that needs to be addressed. That doesn't just need to be normalized for you. And this isn't to make anyone feel bad, because obviously there's been times in my life where I definitely have struggled with that. I think a lot of people have struggled with that. But if that's kind of where you're at, and that's the main reason why you drink, that's when you need to sit there and say, all right, I really got to work on that. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're on a health journey, that is what a health journey is. It's not just changing your body. It is changing a lot of factors within your life and addressing some of these things that we do that we have kind of normalized or that we have maybe potentially struggled with, but we just haven't brought to light. And so when I was going through my journey, obviously alcohol was a big thing that I used to do often for a lot of different things. And it got really aggressive when my brother-in-law died, who was like my best friend. And someone I loved so much, it wrecked me. And for the first year, I grieved so much every single day. And I turned to alcohol to really deal with that grieving and that pain and that sense of loss for someone that I really loved and I still miss every single day. And it's been so long. It's been like 7 years. And I'm still like, man, I think about you all the time. And so it's just, but alcohol wasn't something I was using to cope with. And that's not healthy. And it was not healthy. I became someone I didn't recognize. And it was ugly. And I still have moments that I like secondhand cringe at the thought of like some of the things that I said to someone or did. And so, yeah, that's my take on alcohol. I think that it can be something that if you have much more moderation, that you can still see results. Is it the healthiest thing to do? No. Does it actually get in your way of seeing the best results that you can see? Yes. If you are someone who is struggling with seeing results and are currently drinking alcohol, I would strongly recommend you just giving it a break and seeing how your results start like kind of coming in. Of course, your nutrition, everything else plays a big role in that too, but I would probably put that into play. If you are someone who is struggling with a hormonal imbalance and you are trying to regulate your hormones, alcohol is something I would have to say that you got to give up. And I'm just going to be a little bit more like straight to the point on that one. It's really difficult to balance out your body and when your body is just not wanting to work in your favor. So if you're kind of constantly putting your body in a situation where it goes out of whack every time you drink, it just makes the whole system of trying to do what you got to do difficult. And as someone that, had a severe hormonal imbalance that was possibly and potentially not going to be able to ever be able to ovulate and have a balanced cycle and hormones and have kids and be fertile. That was me not long ago. And finally now being at a place where, yeah, I have a doctor telling me, you got to be extra careful, girl, because you are fertile. And now ovulating every single month and having a period consistently on the day that I'm supposed to start, like, it's worth it, bro. It is. Like, give it up because and I know, again, I'm going to have like a series that talks more about like the life of not drinking and like the realities of what that's been like and how incredible it has been. One thing I will say is that you feel younger. Not younger in a sense of like, oh, I just feel better. It's like when you get adjusted and you're in these like environments where people are drinking, like weddings and so forth, it's like you become your younger self again. I know that sounds so weird maybe, but I have been to multiple weddings where I am dancing all night. I've never danced so much at weddings before in my entire life since I have gave up alcohol, and I'm cracking it on the dance floor, dancing like my tail off and having so much fun. It's like I don't even realize I'm not drinking. And you have so much fun. You're almost like you feel drunk because you're literally just like living your best life. And when it comes to hanging out with people, it just is incredible. And one of my favorite things is that I always know that I am safe. Like, I'm very aware of my surroundings. I'm very aware of my friends' surroundings. Like, I am like able to, and this isn't like, oh, you're, playing mom or anything, because I don't like doing that. I will be honest. I don't like doing that. And I'm not feeling like I'm forced to be that. I was fearful that was going to be the case for me, but I will say, like, I don't know. I just feel good being able to know that I am self-aware and I'm not like intoxicated in a sense where my judgment of like what's happening or where I'm at or anything like that is like blurry to me. And I also like the fact that I always know that I don't know, I'm safe. And I think for a woman to feel safe is important. And so I don't know, maybe I got off a little off key there. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed this episode. These are the type of discussions that really can help make and break your journey, honestly, and change your results drastically. So if you kind of trust in me and you kind of allow yourself to try something new and put this into play, even though I know it's hard and I know it kind of can suck, especially with the sun coming out and, summer coming up. I get it, trust me, but just give it a try. You can't knock it unless you've tried it. And I really genuinely think you would enjoy it. And obviously, be obsessed with the fact that you're going to be seeing amazing results too. Finally, like the way that you really want to see it. So, yeah, that is it. So I will see y'all Tuesday, but make sure to comment below what you thought about this. If you could, please share my podcast with a friend, someone that you really, really love and think that they would enjoy my podcast. Comment, rate my channel, anything that you want to do, whatever it is that your heart desires. I really appreciate you guys, and it helps me out tremendously with keeping this podcast going and keeping this passion alive, knowing you guys are really resonating with it. But love you all. Have an incredible day, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.